of all, do we have any public or citizen comments tonight? General comments? If not, I'd just like to welcome everyone here tonight for tonight's meeting, and we'll start off with the consideration of approval of the agenda.
So move, Your Honor.
Second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Motion approved. Next, we'll have the consideration of approval of the minutes of the March 4th or March 5th and 14th meetings.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Have the clerk call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Motion approved. Next is consideration of the approval of the consent calendar. Any questions on the consent calendar?
So move. Second.
Motion second. Clerk will call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Consent calendar is approved. Next is the business of the mayor. Just have a few appointments to different boards for tonight. All of these are reappointments. These are people who have been on the boards before and have agreed to continue on. The Electrical Advisory Board is Sean Pick. For the Board of Adjustment is Jean LeBounty. Civil Service Commission is John Morris. And the Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board is Stuart Colson, Carol Tyler, and Eric Miller. So I would propose all those people for appointments to their respective boards.
You need a motion on
I think we do.
Second.
that? Third.
Motion and second, and clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye. Thank those folks for serving as well.
Yes, yeah, that's for sure. It's always nice when, and all of them were, pretty happy to continue on with what they've been doing, except, well, I shouldn't say except, but Sean, the Electoral Advisory Board does not meet very often. They just kind of meet when there's a concern or a question, and so Sean said, well, I don't think I've met for a while. Am I still on that board? I said, yeah, you're just called upon when you're needed, so. Okay, we'll go on then to public hearing on 2018 owner-occupied rehab grant. This was continued from the March 5th meeting because Steve Flint was not able to be here that night. I see Steve's here tonight, so do we have a filing of affidavit of publication?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any written comments or objections?
I do not have any.
Any oral comments or objections?
I'd like to make several oral comments.
Go right ahead, Steve.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Steve Wendt from NICOG, North Iowa Area Council of Governments. And first of all, I'd like to thank the Council for continuing this resolution, which will allow me to be heard. Obviously, the driving weather over here tonight is a little bit better than 2 Mondays ago. So, anyway, this public hearing is to provide information on the City of Charles City's proposed grant application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority, which would fund an owner-occupied housing rehabilitation program. Actually, back in September, the council decided to move forward with this grant opportunity. So Heidi and myself from Charles City Housing have been working on the grant application, kind of putting together piecemeal since that time. According to the grant application rules and regulations, there are certain comments that I have to make at this public hearing, and I will do that by means of a handout. I think Trudy included that in the council packets, and I have several hard copies if I've already dispersed them. Okay. If we'll turn to page 2, Roman numeral number 1, I'll go through this as quickly as I can. This public hearing is in regard to the City of Charles City's proposal to submit a grant application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority that would assist in funding a housing rehabilitation program. This grant is federally funded, CDBG money allocated to the state of Iowa by the U.S. Department of HUD, so federal rules and regulations must be followed. The city is requesting funds to rehabilitate 6 owner-occupied structures in the target area of the community. And if you'll turn on the following page, everybody have a colored photo of the map, the top highlighted in red. This It's kind of an unusual target area. It's actually matches up exactly with a census tract, Block Group 1, Census Tract 4804. And as you can see, area-wise, a good portion of this census tract is outside of the city limits, north of the city limits. We consulted with the IEDA. At first, we were just going to include that portion of this census tract that was in the city limits, but the IEDA suggested that we include the entire tract. The reason being that this census tract has one of the higher percentage of LMI households in Floyd County. And of course, the higher percentage of LMI householders, and I'll define what an LMI householder is in a second here, but the higher the percentage of LMI householders in the target area, the higher we score in the grant as far as the grant criteria. So they said, let's match up the target area exactly with this census tract, and then we'll prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that we have a high number of percentage of LMI householders. So that's your target area for this year. Heidi did a pretty good job of inventorying the housing units. There are 435 housing units in this target area altogether. 14 of them are outside of the city limits, up to the north. Those are acreage-type properties. Obviously, they're outside the city limits, and none of those 14 householders would be eligible for assistance. So actually, we have 421 housing units within the city limits. Also, 163 of those, which would be north of 13th Avenue up through to the north city limits, 163 of those are in an identified 100-year floodplain. And according to the CDBG regulations, no floodplain homes are eligible for assistance. So you take away those 163 from the 421, and we're left with 258 homes. And those 258 homes, they form the total population from which our housing rehabilitation projects will be selected. Now, if you turn to the next page, there's another map. Many of you remember we also applied last year, or the City of Charles City applied last year. We were not funded. Last year's target area is shown on that second map. It's a little bit less. There were 219 houses in that target area. The crosshatched area is no longer included in this year's target area because it's outside of the census tract, and that includes 60 homes. So 219 homes last year minus the 60 equals 159 homes, and then we bring in 99 homes to the north that are outside of the floodplain, and that leaves us with the 258 units. So any way you look at it, we have 259 units that form the population from which these projects will be selected, as opposed to 219 from last year's target area. So a few more houses to select from. So if you'll go back to page 2, Roman numeral number 2, it is also noted that the total household income of the homes to be rehabilitated cannot exceed 80% of the area median household income level for Floyd County as established by HUD. In other words, all the federal funds will benefit persons of low and moderate income, LMI households. These income limits are established by the U.S. Department of HUD every year and are based on family size. So if you turn to page 5, on the top page 5, you'll see that table. These are the 80% limits for Floyd County, and that's how we defined a low to moderate income household. Any household that is less than 80% of the area median family income is a low to moderate income household. And as we said, the target area we selected this year, a high percentage of those homeowners are defined as LMI homeowners, which allows us to score higher on the grant application. I'm just showing you 2017 limits from last year's grant. 2018 is what we're looking at. For example, if we have a 3-person household, if their annual gross income is less than $46,000, they are defined as an LMI household because their income is less than the 80% limit. So those are the income limits eligibility-wise for the program this year. Turning back to page 2, Roman numeral number 3, the total cost of the 6-home rehabilitation program is estimated to be $246,500. The City of Charles City will provide local match funds of $13,800. Therefore, the amount of the housing fund grant request will be $232,700. So if you turn to page 6, this is the budget we're going to submit in this year's grant application. First of all, the IDED grant funds, you see IEDA. IDED is no longer the acronym, it's IEDA. The rehabilitation hard costs we're looking at $23,999 per unit, and then we have our administrative costs, and then we have lead hazard reduction activity, and then we have lead hazard carrying costs, which is actually some more technical service administration. And then if we have to relocate some of our homeowners out because of interior lead hazard reduction activity, we budgeted for all that. And looking at that, those total activity items total $232,700. And by the way, there's two types of administration in this program, such as this. General administration is not project specific, it's not site specific, it's just the general regulations and making sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's, and filing the reports and the environmental review and things that are necessary to make sure that the city is complying to all the CDBG rules. These administrative requirements get worse every year, but as you can see, NIACOG will be providing most of that general administration, and then Heidi and her staff will be contributing to that as well. The other type of administration is direct or rehab technical services. Again, that's the on-site administration. That's actually writing up the project specs and bid procurement of the contractors and project supervision. That will be done internally by the city's code enforcement department. And also Heidi's staff will also be contributing to that. So those are the activity items, looking at $232,700 for the grant. City funds, local match. There will be some more technical service administration, on-site technical services that will be supplied by the city's local match. And then also we have what's called the Rehabilitation Supplement. The cash match will be $6,000. The total amount of rehabilitation hard costs that per unit allowed in this program is $24,999. If you see up on top that the grant funds are contributing $23,999 of that, and the city's local match is contributing $1,000. That's where we get our $24,999. So our total local match we're proposing is $13,800. Last year's local match was $21,900. This year we've reduced it because the new scoring criteria, they're not scoring local match this year. Local match means nothing. You can supply 0 local match or 50,000 local match. It won't affect the scoring criteria. So the only reason we're having a local match this year at all is because then we can kind of extend the grant funds. We may be able to do a few more projects rather than 6. And that's explained down on the bottom of page 6. I won't go into detail on all my figures there, but the important thing is at the bottom of page 6, grant funds possibly available for additional projects is around $55,000 possible. So we'll get done with those first 6 projects, and we may have $55,000 remaining, which means we can do another 2 projects. So we're applying for 6 projects. That's the maximum amount you can apply for is 6 projects. But we may be able to do 2 additional projects with the grant funds remaining. We structured the budget so we may be able to do that. And like I said, down at the bottom, we're projecting hopefully $55,000 left in funding available after the first 6 projects are done, which will allow us to do 2 more projects, and that will increase our impact by 33%, moving from 6 projects to 8 projects. So I had to go a little bit detail on the grant budget, but that's what we're looking at. There have been some changes again this year. Again, the local match is in place only to extend the grant funds so we can hopefully do some additional projects. Okay, now turning back to page 2, finally on Roman numeral number 4, I'll read as quickly as I can. I will get you out of here before dark, I know that. So. The need for housing rehabilitation funds in the proposed target area was most recently identified in conjunction with the city's updated City of Charles City Comprehensive Housing Needs Assessment. Research in regard to the updated HNA identified 5 neighborhoods within the community where rehabilitation is needed and resultant good impact is apparent. This includes the selected target area for this 2018 grant application, where very few of the homes were rehabbed in any previous recent rehabilitation programs by the city. The city had several grant programs between 1990 and 2008. A windshield survey completed by the city in November 2017 further confirmed the need for rehabilitation assistance in the target area, which again includes many homes that have never had the opportunity to participate in the city's previous rehab programs. Therefore, on the basis of need, the number of ready and willing applicants, and overall project impact, the proposed target area was selected. The grant that the city is considering tonight, if submitted and awarded, would be yet another phase in the City of Charles City's efforts to provide safe and affordable housing in the community by way of owner-occupied rehabilitation programs. As mentioned in the above paragraph, the city has implemented several housing rehabilitation grant programs since the early 1990s, the latest being the 2012 City of Charles City Rehabilitation Program, which provided assistance to homeowners located in the Wildwood Park Restoration Area, which is south of Gilbert Street and US 218 and adjacent to the east of Wildwood Park down there in the southwest part of town. All of these previous programs, while considered to be successful and having great impact, still left a sizable unmet need for safe, sound, and affordable housing in the community. No persons or businesses will be displaced as a result of the rehabilitation activities. The proposed rehabilitation work on each home will be done so as to comply with the IDA IHQS housing quality standards. This can include, but is not limited to, new furnaces, new wiring, new siding, new shingles, repair of structural deficiencies, interior and exterior lead hazard reduction activity, radon mitigation, and elimination of any other observed interior health safety defects. The grant is for program year 2018 and must be submitted by May 4th, 2018, which is the grant deadline at the IEDA. Okay, those are the only comments I'm required to make. Any other questions or comments? I'll field any questions right now if there's... If there are no further comments, we can close the public hearing.
Excuse me, Steve, you mentioned that our city code enforcement would be involved in working with this. That we're reimbursed for that out of this grant?
Yes. If you look at the budget on page 6, actually we're budgeting a total of $6,000 per unit for the technical services. $4,700 of that will come from the grant, okay, and $1,300 will be the internal billing part of the local match. Yes, so they will be compensated by the grant funds, as in previous years. The previous programs, the Code Enforcement Department has handled the on-site technical services between Heidi and at Charles City Housing and the Code Enforcement Department.
Okay, thank you. With that, I move we close the hearing if we have no more.
Second.
Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Hearing is closed. Next, we have consideration of Resolution 3118, approving application for a Housing Fund Community Development Block Grant administered by the Iowa Economic Development Authority for an owner-occupied housing rehabilitation program. Discussion.
I'd so move for 3118.
Pardon? Is there a second?
Yep. Keith seconded. Yep.
Clerk will call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye. Next, we'll have consideration of Resolution 3218, which is selecting a provider of grant general administrative services subject to the award of grant funding through the CDBG Iowa Housing Fund Program.
So move for 3218.
Second.
Steve, Nyakog has run pretty much all of these programs for us, haven't they?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Any further discussion on that resolution? Not, the clerk will call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Next is consideration of a motion which would be adopting the City of Charles City Community Development Housing Needs Assessment.
Yes, this will be the last page in my little handout here. This last page was, first of all, every grant application requires a one-page summary of community development housing needs assessment, proposed plans, existing activity in the community. This is the one-page summary we put together for last year's grant application. The public hearing happened to be in the fall, November 21st, 2016. These community development and housing needs assessments are good for 2 years, and this was less than 1.5 years ago. So actually, we can just re-adopt this document as it is right now, only I'd like to make one minor change. I used to be a licensed real estate appraiser, so I follow market values close in all of our Nyakog communities, and the only thing I see is under Roman numeral number 1, item 3, where we said expanding mid-priced or affordable housing in the 60,000 to 80,000 range. We can make a slight adjustment now, 65,000 to 85,000. That's based on the sales data here within the city of Charles City. So rather than 60,000 to 80,000, 65,000 to 85,000, and that really is the only. That's a slight adjustment, but other than that, I don't see anything else where we have to make any changes unless some other activities are coming up that I'm not aware of, or is this, other than that minor adjustment, I believe this one-page summary is going to be more than sufficient as far as the grant application.
I'd make that motion with that adjustment.
And I would second.
Any further discussion or questions? Not, the clerk will call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Motion passes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank
for
you
listening.
for coming.
Steve.
Steve, you weren't a half an hour, that's good.
25 minutes?
No, go ahead.
Next is a public hearing on the proposed amendment to the Southwest Bypass Urban Renewal Area. So we'll open the hearing on that one. We have a filing of affidavit of publication.
Yes, Your Honor.
How about any written comments or objections?
Didn't get any.
Oral comments or objections?
Well, I guess I'll just make a comment that, we're excited to be able to say that Zoetis is planning on expanding here in Charles City, so we're all very excited about that. Project that we've been kind of working on here is coming to fruition, so we can go ahead and hold our hearings and amend our urban renewal plan and adopt the development agreement with Zoetis for their project. It's going to be a multi-phase project over about 3-4 years here. But it'll be about a $55 million investment in expansion to their current location. So we're pretty excited about that, and look forward to seeing the growth from Zoetis. So thank you very much, you guys.
Any other comments?
Close the hearing.
Second.
Motion second to close the hearing. Clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
So then we'll consider Resolution 4118 to approve the Urban Renewal Plan amendment for the Southwest Bypass Urban Renewal Area.
I would so move, Your Honor.
And I would second.
Any further discussion? Not, the clerk will call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Done deal.
So then we'll have another public hearing on the proposed development agreement with Zoetis, and we'll open the hearing for that one.
So basically, this resolution here is what will adopt the actual development agreement itself, and we just finalized copies with that with the bond counsel here about an hour or two ago. So I printed those off, and put them in front of your desk there, and I highlighted the key points. So you'll see that there, that the base valuation, the $55 million investment. These are all based off figures that we worked on with the company and Tim Fox. So we're looking at an 8-year 90% rebate of the new taxes. The total amount is not to exceed $1.85 million. So it's a good expansion, good development, and I think we are all set to go on this. I also included Exhibit C is the agreement with IEDA. and they do have an agreement, and received about $2.5 million in incentives from the state. So that full contract is in here. I only copied off the first few pages for you. I don't know if you want to see the rest of it there, but kind of gives you a taste of what that is. But that's included in the agreement as well. So
There weren't any material changes to this since we looked at it at our workshop quite some time ago, was there?
no,
Steve?
no, we're just filling in the blanks as far as the date to approve, what that base valuation is. Everything else is, is what we've been talking about and hasn't changed since Southwest TIF Committee looked and recommended its approval back in October, so.
I remember there were a few questions, but I think we had those answered kind of in the interim, didn't we, after we met?
Yeah, I believe so.
And it wasn't anything real serious, but I remember there were a couple questions, but...
Yeah, part of it was, like timing, how are we, with it being a phased project. I know IDED, see, I still do it too, IEDA. Is doing a phased-in approach, and that's what we're really looking at here too. I mean, typically we require a shorter window for it to be completed, but you'll see in there that construction is to be completed by December 31st of 2022. So we've got a few years there before that work ends, and we added a couple years to the rebate because we knew those first 2 years would just be partial assessments. They wouldn't be at the full amount yet, so we kind of covered that base as well. But I think those were the main questions we had at the time, is how that would come together.
I'm glad it's all gelled, and I'd so move for approval.
Well, do we need to close the hearing? Yeah, we
Oh,
need to
sorry.
close the hearing. Yeah.
Close the hearing, sorry.
First, you have to
Unless-
also see, do we have any filing of affidavit on this one?
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, sir.
And any written comments?
Nope.
Okay. Now we'll continue on with the
Now we can close.
oral
it.
comments. Anybody else have any comments before we close the hearing, Pam?
So I'd just like to say thank you. We very much appreciate the support of Charles City, and we're happy to be in this community.
Thank you.
Happy to have you here.
I'd like to mention that I think, with this tax and rebate for the citizens, we got 10% of this taxes coming in right away for 8 years, and then we've got the full tax increment. So it's a great addition to the valuation of Charles City and the tax base.
Tim Fox, Charles City Area Development Corporation. I'd like to give my heartfelt thanks to the Zoetis team. They've been nothing but professional and above board and performed their due diligence admirably when researching this project. And I can't thank them enough. This is a pretty significant project for Charles City, and we should all be grateful and thankful that they have been such a consistent employer and such a good corporate citizen. And I'd also like to thank the council. And even though I'm loath to give him any public credit, Steve Deers did a good job on the whole thing. So, thank you.
Well, I think Tim Fox, I think that can be said back to you as well. You kind of always in the background, but always working. Whether we may not always see it, you're out there too, kind of getting the stuff to come together as well. So I think you are owed some thanks as well.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Any further discussion or comments?
Move to close the hearing.
There we go.
There we go.
Second.
Motion to close the hearing. Clerk will call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Hearing is closed. Next, we have consideration of Resolution 4218, approving development agreement with Zoetis Incorporated, authorizing annual appropriation tax increment payments and pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement.
So move, Your Honor.
Second.
Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Motion passes. Once again, we'd like to thank Zoetis for investing in our community. I know there was a competition between Charles City and other places, and we're happy that you selected Charles City for this expansion, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Next is a public hearing on ordinance 1115. We'll open the hearing. Is there a filing of affidavit of publication?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any written comments or objections?
None, Your Honor.
Any oral comments tonight?
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Moving and second to close the hearing. The clerk will call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Hearing is closed. So next we will have a second, this is for the second reading of ordinance 1115.
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No one's had any comments about this. I know I have not, but anybody else? City, anybody?
No.
Not since the planning and zoning meeting. I mean, there are some questions and some concerns raised, but I think we addressed those.
Yeah, but since then, I've not heard anything.
Okay.
Further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Resolution 1115, ordinance for the second reading is passed, and we'll have the second reading.
Ordinance number 1115, an ordinance amending the zoning classification of two parcels located in the southeast quarter of Section 2, Township 95 North, Range 16 West of the 5th PM in Floyd County, Iowa, from R-1 Single Family District to B-3 Service Business District.
Thank you. And then we'll have a public hearing on ordinance 1116, which is amending section 23, advertising and signs. We'll open the hearing. Have a filing of affidavit of publication.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any written comments or objections?
None, Your Honor.
How about any oral comments or objections?
Move we close.
Second.
Been motion to close the hearing. We'll have the clerk call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
At this time, we consider a second reading of ordinance 1116.
So move, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The clerk will call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Well, we'll have second reading of ordinance 1116.
Okay, ordinance number 1116, an ordinance amending section 23, advertising and signs of the Charles City zoning ordinance by amending subsection F.11A and F.12.A to permit the placement of exterior fascia signs which are visible from street frontages of principal businesses in B-1 and B-2 districts.
Thank you. And then we'll have a public hearing next on the proposal to enter into an essential purpose loan agreement. So we'll open that hearing. Have a filing of affidavit of publication.
Yes, Your Honor.
About any written comments or objections?
None, Your Honor.
Oral comments or objections?
I'll just point out that on the sheet that I attached there, what you saw during our budget workshop process, kind of lists out those different debt service items. Basically, anything that's considered essential corporate purpose is what's not highlighted green. Everything else, those are all essential corporate purposes. The next one we'll be looking at will be the non-essential or general corporate purpose. But for this, we're looking at all the unhighlighted items for this first hearing.
Any further comments?
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion to close the hearing. Clerk will call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Hearing is closed. Next, we will have one more public hearing on the proposal to enter into a general purpose loan agreement, and we'll open that hearing. Have a filing of affidavit of publication.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any written comments or objections?
None, Your Honor.
Oral comments or objections?
I'll just mention here that the green highlighted items are the general corporate purpose for this hearing. One of the things that we'll have to correct at a later date is how we specifically utilize those funds. What we have highlighted is what we agreed to do during the budget process, which was $5,000 for golf course column repair, $15,000 for the pool, $10,000 for 401 North Main. Well, in the legal that was put together, it was just had everything under the golf course. We didn't split out the pool, so not a big deal. But tonight we'll be approving it in that total amount, which is $30,000. But at a later date, we'll republish and we'll split that out between the pool, the golf course, and 401 like we intend. So just a FYI.
Any other comments, objections, discussion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay.
We're closing. the
Yeah, I
hearing.
gotta say, we don't have that. We have to, that was a motion to close the hearing,
Hearing,
correct?
correct.
All right.
To approve the closing of the hearing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Clerk will call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
And now we need a motion for Resolution 4318, which is authorizing combining loan agreements, approving the future issuance of general obligation corporate purpose note, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same. Any discussion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Have a motion. Clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
All right, Resolution 4318 is approved. Nobody has to read anything on this one, so that's good. Moving right along then, we'll have consider Resolution 4418, which is approving the contract and bonds for the Riverside and Illinois Street Reconstruction Project. Discussion.
Well, the 2018 Riverside Drive Illinois Street Reconstruction Project, that was awarded to King Construction at the last council meeting, and their bid was $320,829.88. This is the street reconstruction project that includes the complete reconstruction of Riverside Drive and Illinois Street, starting at Joslin and ending at Kelly Street. The project will include new concrete paving, and it will provide some on-street parking for the new Victory Park. Also part of this project is the city acquired some additional right-of-way from the Nettletons, and we will actually move the intersection of Illinois and Riverside a little away from the river, out of the floodway, so we can fill that up. We'll raise it so it won't, it'll have better drainage and it won't be inundated as often. So once the construction contract is approved, I will provide copies to King. I'll return a copy to them. We will schedule a pre-construction meeting to discuss the project and their schedule. The project has a completion date of September 1st, so it will be a contract taking place this summer. So I'd recommend approval of the contract and bond for this project.
Any further discussion or questions for John?
I'd so move.
And I would second.
Motion is second for Resolution 4418. The clerk will call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Motion approved. I think this will be a nice improvement in that area. That area is always a kind of a muddy mess down there, so this will be a really nice improvement and make that area much more accessible. So next we have Resolution 4518, which is approving the plans and specs for Cedar Terrace South Window Project and setting the date for a public hearing. Discussion. Heidi?
Okay. I'm Heidi Nielsen, the Director of the Housing Department. We have, at the Housing Department, are proposing to replace windows in 80 units or apartments, which is a total of 324 windows. The existing windows are not operating as they should be, and it requires a lot of our maintenance time helping the residents open and close the windows. The Housing Board met on March 15th, and they recommend moving forward with the project. WW Architects have prepared the specifications and plans, and the funding sources available are the 2016, 17, and 18 capital fund grants from HUD. The project schedule is proposing the bid letting date of March 20th, with the bids due on April 12th. The scheduled project completion date is July 27th, and then the public hearing is requested to be set for April 16th.
Any questions for Heidi?
The existing windows that are in there, Heidi, have been like about 20 years old or a little more, right?
They
If I
were
remember
put
right.
in probably 1996.
Yeah, so a little over 20 years old, so probably time to upgrade.
Yep.
So I would so move.
Second.
A motion and a second for Resolution 4518. Clerk will call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi.
Next is consideration of Resolution 4618, which is approving the Hy-Vee Garden Center lease. Do you have discussion for that one?
I got a hold of Ryan this morning, and he said that corporate had looked at those revisions, and at the final version that Brad had added an item to, and they were good with it. And Jody, did he say you're Jody? Okay. If you have any questions, Jody is here to answer them, but I think it's pretty much the same as it's been in the past, that same area. It will go from April 2nd to June 30th, I believe. Price is going to be the same, $250 per month.
So basically, you're just coming back to what you kind of did a few years ago, other than the last couple, you kind of had it up next to the building?
Yes,
So, same general area, kind of,
correct.
you and Tyson's kind of almost next to each other?
Yeah,
There.
we're going to have a little competition.
Yeah.
So we're agreeing to this with the recommendations made by the city attorney, the adjustments made by the city attorney.
That
We got
final version.
we had that all resolved then, so we're good city attorney-wise?
Yep.
Brad's not holding us back, any?
And there weren't any real major substantive
No,
changes.
it was small, but it was important enough we need to have it straightened out, just so we were on the same page with Hy-Vee Corporate and the city as well, so that we were all covered.
I'd move for resolution 4618.
Second.
Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Thank you. You betcha. And I'll tell Ryan I'll get that lease signed tonight. He was going to take it to Des Moines with him, I believe, on Wednesday.
Okay.
So if he wants to just swing by tomorrow, I can give him that copy, and he
send
can.
him an email.
That'd be great.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Jody.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Any miscellaneous correspondence tonight?
None, Your Honor.
Brad, do you have anything to report tonight?
No, Your Honor.
City Clerk's report.
Our next planning session will be March 26th at 6 o'clock. And about a week and a half ago, we had a contingent go down to Des Moines to present to the Ragbri group of the new towns for this year. And let me tell you, it was wonderful being on this side of it this year. It's great. Those deer in the headlight looks are just, that's exactly what we looked like a year ago. But we were very happy to report that we made money. We cleared about $30,000, and we gave about $20,000 of that away to 6 projects here in town. And that was just very, very... It felt good to report that. So I think we gave them some good information. So we had lots of questions. So.
We did so well here because of all the hard work. It was very well
Exactly.
organized. There's always stuff to learn, but having a well organized operation makes the flow a lot easier.
You bet. You bet. We had some good help. So.
And weather cooperation.
Yes, absolutely.
We were kind of wondering there for a while when it was raining in the morning, but they kept telling us it was going to get nicer, and it did, so
And
that's
they
good.
talked about that. That was one of the things they said, you need to be prepared for that because that weather drove the bikers here way early. And, you know, we were quite ready for them to be here like at 10 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of them were looking for beer already at 10 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, sorry, we aren't
kidding.
opening till noon. So I know.
That many of them from Riceville?
Should have sent them to your house.
Yeah.
But just things like that, you know, it was kind of a good point to drive home to these people. Be prepared for about anything, so, but it went well, so I was glad to go down there.
Good. City Administrator's report.
Yeah, just a couple things to touch on. This last Monday, we had we've been having meetings about once every 2-3 weeks with Fox Engineering as we work on designing our wastewater treatment plant or our water resource recovery facility. And as of last Monday, we received an estimate for the cost of the plant. It's not going in the direction we want, of course. But the current estimate, the old estimate in the facility plan was about $16.5 million. We're closer to $20 million now. And so, you know, we tried to find out exactly what that difference in cost is. You know, I asked if it was site-related or anything along those lines, but a lot of it is due to the increasing prices of concrete. Concrete is a major variable in this. There's a lot of concrete in the project. Plus, there's also concern over the tariffs, the new tariffs on steel that are coming into place. With this being we're required to buy U.S. steel, but with the tariffs in place, it might create a crunch on supply, and so that might be a cause for concern as well. So these are just estimates. They could come in bid much lower than that, but not in the direction I was hoping to see with that. So, but we're doing what we can to shave that down and get that as low as reasonably possible. This last week, Wednesday through Friday, I had my annual IMMI conference down in Iowa City. It's put on by the Institute of Public Affairs, a very good conference. It's for city administrators and managers. It's the go-to conference of the year. So we always have good sessions, learn a lot, and I did as well. Just, you know, the future of the Institute is a bit in question, and the Institute of Public Affairs is a little bit in question with state cutbacks to the university. And Jeff Schott, whom you recall from our planning sessions and goal-setting sessions, he is retiring, and he informed us that the university is not looking to fill his position. So what happens with the Institute, yes, it will be determined. We don't know that yet, but we'll find out, and we'll also try and find out what's going to happen to our spring conference, if that's going to continue to be in Iowa City or whatnot, but we shall see. And I'll have a front row in that discussion because at our conference I'm on the board for the Iowa City Managers Association, and they nominated me to be the next president of the association. So in July I'll be the president, and so I'll be part of that discussion as we work towards finding a solution for that. So that's kind of a neat thing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll have to change the clock to play Hail to the Chief now. That's so.
Well, many of you probably know Pat Callahan, consultant. He mentioned, well, first, Mayor Erb was president of the league. Now you're president of the state association. I said, yes. Charles City just continues to have that stranglehold on the state.
Yep.
But so.
If others won't lead, we shall.
Yeah. Tomorrow is the Broadband Summit in Des Moines. It's a one-day summit put on for communities thinking about doing broadband. So that's us. So myself, Mark Wicks, and Danny Wilson from the Broadband Commission are going to be going down and attending that conference. It's a one-day, so we'll down in the morning and down back tomorrow night. So hope to learn some more from that process. Also got a letter today that just confirmed our grant, the Iowa Conservation Partnership Program, for that person to help oversee those various grants in Upper Cedar Watershed that has been deferred. We were not approved in this first round. We might get funded later on. That was confirmed. And lastly, I won't be at Monday's workshop, this coming Monday's workshop either, because I'll be in Des Moines listening to the Eagles play. So there was supposed to be a Wednesday concert, then they moved it to Monday, so sorry about that. But
That's why you want to get all those workshops moved to Wednesdays.
I'm trying to tell you. So that's all I have.
Very good. Well, congratulations on your presidency coming up. So
Thank you.
that's always nice to have Charles City represented on the state level. So, any board, commission, or committee reports? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
That was definitely a lot of public hearings. Oofda.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. I did make, this last week during my conference, I made the joke to several of us. I said, we're going to have like 7 public hearings on Monday. And I said, we're going to invent something new called the consent public hearing, where we open up one. If anybody has any concerns about